Hello and welcome to a new Hardware Intel webinar series. The webinars from UAP exploring how hardware can help shape our futures. So from households to commercial. In this series, I'll be joined by a variety of guests and we'll be discussing a range of legislative related topics. So in today's webinar, we're talking about secured by design and 24 regulations. My name is Nicola John and I'm a business consultant, and having worked in the construction and the door industry for many years, all types of entrance doors and quality products are really important to me. And joining me today is Barry Halpin, the Sales Director at UAP, and also Julian Roberts, who is the newly appointed Technical Services Director at UAP. So welcome to the Hardware Intel series, Barry, and welcome back, Julian, because we were on the last series together. Barry, I wonder if you could give the viewers an insight into your current job role for UAP.
Yeah, thanks, Nicola. I'm Sales Director here at UAP. I've been at UAP for about 9 years now. So my role really encompasses liaising with all key accounts and all kind of higher level accounts within UAP, looking at what they currently buy, if we can do more with them, engaging with the sales team, helping the sales team to ultimately convert sales for the business, looking at market trends and just seeing where UAP sit within the market itself. And I suppose ultimately making sure we hit target.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, it's going to be interesting for you to give us the perspective from the customers and from the end consumer's perspective. So now that you have moved from manager to director, Julian, could you give our viewers an insight into your role?
Hello all, my name is Julian Roberts and I'm the Technical Services Director for UAP. This is a wide and varied role, including the development and testing of new products, audit testing and certification of our existing products, along with liaison, development and testing for external clients. Prior to that, and very relevant to today's discussions, previous to that I was the Quality Manager for Full X Testing Services, a UCAS accredited testing laboratory conducting weather testing, durability testing and security testing for doors and windows.
Okay, so thanks Julian, thanks Barry. I'm going to head straight into my first question. Go straight for it. Secured by design, police initiative to keep buildings safe and secure, currently recognises the PAS 24 2016 version. Julian, maybe you could kick it off and tell us about this standard. What does it mean?
Certainly. Well, PAS 24 has been produced to provide a method for testing and assessing the enhanced security performance requirements for door sets and windows, usually intended to resist the levels and methods of attack experienced within the UK and normally associated with the casual or perhaps opportunist burglar. It's believed that those attacks are a result of that opportunity just presenting itself with no particular regard to the success that might bring. So PAS 24 tests the entire door or the entire window as a whole, rather than just those individual components. However, each of those components is critical to the success of the whole product.
Right, okay. And from your perspective, Barry, how many of your clients are using the Secured by Design license, and is it very important to your clients?
Yeah, it is. I mean, I think we've got several customers who use Secured by Design and who make PAS 24 door sets, and obviously they see it as the standard. You know, they have to achieve this standard in order to be able to service certain markets within the fenestration industry. So if you're wanting to obviously deal with a new build sector, for instance, then this is an absolute must. But we also have customers who are making Secured by Design or PAS 24 door sets, who also make a standard door set as well, because there is still a market for standard door sets and cheaper products. But ultimately, the reason customers do go to that PAS 24 and SPD door set level is because unless they do, and unless they invest in the testing, they can't then gain sales in certain sectors within the industry.
Right, so really important for them to be looking at that particular type of certification and getting their products passed.
It's hugely important.
So
because
it was
I was going to say that the market is growing as well. So it's not like they're just treading water, really, as I see it at the minute. If they're just making, say, standard doors, for instance, then their market will always be shrinking. The market is moving more towards security, a lot like the fire market did in going dual certification. it's opened up new sectors where some people can't actually win business in them sectors unless they are certificated.
Yeah, of course. And I was going to ask Julian that really. So that 2016 PAS certification that people are currently working towards, can you see that changing? Because before that it was the 2012. So what do we think, how long do we think 2016 is going to be around for?
The process to revise PAS 24 2016 is currently underway. And following the approval from the B538 committee, the revised document will be edited. It'll have a short consultation period and then be published, likely sometime this year. The intention also is for that new version to be added to the approved document queue of the building regulations.
Yeah.
Possibly a chance that it'll also include refurbishment projects. So that'll incorporate PAS 24 projects as well. So we'll have to perhaps watch this space on that one. And if that does happen, historically, normally there's been, when the regulations have been changed, there's usually been a 12-month period for compliance to that new updated version.
Okay, so that means that clients out there can be continuing to work against the 2016 for that 12-month or 18-month period, whilst moving new projects over to the new standard. So, if they've got something that's ongoing, they can carry on, can't they, with the older standard until they're ready.
Yes, and likely if they're doing testing, they'll future-proof it by going with the new standard rather than the previous one.
Yeah, okay. And so if we see those changes happening, Barry, massive implication for you, for your customers, if the refurbishment market is brought into to PAS 24, that, as you say, will mean that people will be making all their doors to that, I assume.
Yeah, it's a huge change for our customers. For us as a business, for UAP as a business, I think we're in an ideal position to deal with that because we already sell PAS 24 and SPD component parts, so we can easily give the customers what they require. But if we've got a lot of customers that either do both, they do a standard door and a PAS 24 door, or they do one or the other. So the guys that are actually currently making PAS 24 door sets are in a very strong position because they can just continue to do what they're doing. And if they're making standard door sets alongside them, they basically just have to switch their customer base from standard door sets to PAS 24 door sets. There is an increase in the cost for that, but if the regulations stipulate you've got to have a PAS 24 door set, the end user ultimately doesn't have a choice. But if we've got smaller fabricators who are solely making non-PAS 24 door sets, they've got a really difficult decision to make, really. They either have to invest in the testing, which we know is expensive, or they have to start buying in. But ultimately, the doors that they are supplying will move to one of the PAS 24 door set manufacturers who are already making them, who are probably buying from people like us. So it could be a really strong position for somebody like UAP to be in, given the product portfolio that we've got for PAS 24 door sets.
So if we've got some fabricators out there or manufacturers that want some assistance and help, Julian, you, as part of your role, I know you help current clients. What can they expect to get? I mean, you've got such a good history with testing products yourself. So what sort of help can we give our clients if they need to do that?
Well, as we've done before, we can consult with them. We can see how they're doing, what they've done, assistance with testing in the marketplace, advice, all that kind of thing. We have attended testing also with people to actually assist them with things, so that, and any help that we can give people to actually achieve that end goal, we will.
Yeah, of course. And I'm Barry, quite a lot of people already take us up on that, don't they?
Yeah, they do. I mean, we were obviously, the test rig that we have here at UAP was UCAS accredited, but we weren't really kind of making the most of that. But we kept it in its full state and it's being used for indicative testing. So that test rig is there. It's available for people to come and use and to obviously try the products before they actually go and invest that money into official UCAS testing. We've got the test rig set up for them to come along, have a bit of a play about with the products themselves. We actually won some business recently off the back of Julian helping us out with a customer and actually testing and snapping some cylinders in the test rigs and seeing how they work, how they operate. It just builds confidence in the product and also in the product that the customer's making prior to going and giving that investment to the test houses.
Absolutely, and that collaboration of working with your clients as well, I think that only helps the working relationship, doesn't it? And that they can come and see exactly what you're about as a business, and also incorporate some of that knowledge into their business. So it's a bit of a win-win, I think.
100%. Yeah, I think anybody can go in and try and sell a product on a price, but particularly when it's something to do with security, that product has to perform. And if that product doesn't perform, particularly in a test right at the very outset, it's basically like throwing money down the drain. So if you can reassure that customer by instilling that faith in the product visually, and they can see that the product works, then you're onto a winner with that straight away, definitely.
Yeah. Julian, could you tell us a little bit about what the testing involves for PAS24 maybe?
Yes, well, for a door, it's got to be sufficiently robust. It's got to be fitted with the appropriate hardware to thwart a physical attack and be able to prove its security performance under test conditions. A compliant door would have locks and hinges that can withstand mechanical loadings and impacts, glazing that can't easily be removed with hand tools, a door leaf that's resistant to holes being cut through it so somebody can't access the cylinder internally, cylinders and handles that can't be easily broken to allow entry, letter plates that reduce the chances of key phishing, and that will also resist somebody kicking or body charging a door, as well as other blows, or as perhaps attacks by like an easily concealed screwdriver or a nail bar. There's a whole range of tests that tests, more onerous perhaps on one particular type of door than another. Mechanical load perhaps more onerous, perhaps on a composite or a timber door. Sometimes the impacting more onerous on a timber door, but there is a whole range that tests the entire performance of the entire door set.
Right, and how long does the test last? If a customer had undergone a PAS24 test, how long do they have to do it every year? Is it an annual? How does that work?
That obviously will come down to the third-party certification scheme that they're usually part of. Very often that would be done on an annual basis, but sometimes that would be done on a 6-monthly basis also, and as long as everything was okay with the test. Otherwise, then they would have to resolve any potential non-conformances, change that item going forward to ensure that ongoing compliance.
Oh, right, okay. And so what does it mean, do you think, Barry, for your sort of manufacturers and some of your customers out there? How are they working with the PAS24 sort of badge and logo, if you like, and what does it mean for them on their shop floor and their production line?
Well, it's a flagship, isn't it? That if they're making doors to PAS24, then they're achieving the highest possible standards for security on a door set. There isn't anybody that's making anything that's any stronger than they currently make. So if they're wanting to, all our door customers have competition and they're competing for their own share of whichever sector they're in. If they don't have this PAS24 accreditation, then they can't compete in that sector. But what it also means is that they have to be aware of the products that they're using, be aware of any changes to any of the products that they're using. And I suppose ultimately they have to invest their faith in the range of products that they're putting on their doors and and trust their suppliers, not just with the hardware, obviously, as Julian said, it's all down to the slab and even down to the fixings that you use for the particular door sets as well. So there's a lot of time invested in making sure that their door set meets the requirements. And then once they have met the requirements, it just ensures that they're building this door to the absolute ultimate specification of PAS24.
Which is why we've had a reduction in burglaries, I'm sure, in the UK over the last sort of 10 years. They've been going down and down and down. And that sort of leads me to the final question, which is really about the end user. So what can, Joe Public and the end user out there, what satisfaction and what can they look for if they knew that their door was secured by design or PAS24, sort of explain what it means to them? Julian, do you want to take that one?
Certainly. Perhaps the principles of secure by design have been proven to actually reduce the risk of crime and also, perhaps more importantly to people, the fear of crime. The application of those principles to design out the crime, combined with the physical security methods, have actually, as you've said, been proven to reduce burglaries and also criminal damage. I actually took some statistics from the SBD website today, just for this chat. And it says in West Yorkshire, it's demonstrated that newly built developments to secure by design standards are 75% less likely to be burgled. A study by the police in Scotland of 3,000 housing association homes found reductions of 87% every year. And in Glasgow, research demonstrated that developments employing those principles are 63% less likely to experience crime. Well, those are massive reductions in figures. And really, if you have a street where somebody nefarious wants to break in and they see a product that's secure by design or a 3-star cylinders on products and things like this, they're not going to try there. They're going to try an easier target.
I mean, those are quite astonishing statistics, aren't they? So we can see why the police are backing it and their secured by design sort of initiatives. So Barry, that for your customers and for your clients who then supply the social housing market or the private market and the end user, surely those sorts of figures will be a real sort of boost for them to use that certificate and that initiative.
Absolutely, yeah, and I'd be more than shocked if they're not using them statistics already. Really, I think Julian's right that the 3 stars has almost become a buzzword, and people recognise that the 3 stars as being almost a security standard when it's not actually just a cylinder that will perform and give you the security. So we need the PAS 24 label, if you like, to be more prevalent. And as we discussed earlier, if it does seep into the refurb market and starts developing that as well, then it will become more of a buzzword, like 3-star cylinders is and like diamond standard is on cylinders, for instance. And you just got to look at things like, you look at a car, for instance, and they always advertise the NCAP rating in terms of the resistance in a crash. And NCAP's almost become part of everybody's daily speech when it's an industry regulation, really. So PAS 24 is very, very similar to that, and that we want that PAS 24 to be asked for by the end user and by the house builders, and ultimately by anyone that needs a new door.
Absolutely. Well, really interesting. And we're going to delve in next 2 episodes into some other bits of legislation that sort of dovetail into that. So thank you both for an insight into your roles and also what UAP offers to both your existing customers and maybe new customers, because that's not just the product, that is actually the knowledge, the expertise, that collaboration that you can offer people to make sure that they're hitting those much higher standards. So thanks both for your contributions today. So that's all for episode 1 of 3 of this particular Hardware Intel webinar series on legislative topics. And the next episode we'll be looking at TS008. So as always, don't forget to watch, like and subscribe to the UAP YouTube channel, because there's lots of episodes on there and interesting industry topics. So thanks again for listening. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.